I hope everybody, yes, thank you for this. I hope everybody's good and you all had a very great weekend, and it was also a weekend that you were able to rest. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, my name is Sharon Pitlela, but I'm also known as Coach Shazie. And while we were on the group, I think it was around October or the beginning of November, but I think, yeah, mid-October. There were conversations about have we saved money, because I think we're getting closer to the year ending. So it's like we're doing a self-reflection in terms of where are we with the goals that we have set. And I just realized, because it's also something that I've been trying to teach myself, is to show a bit of kindness to myself, because it's quite easy to just decide that, you know what, I'm going to be so hard on myself and I don't even give myself the same kindness or compassion that I would when a friend comes to me and say, you know what, I'm going through this. These are the challenges I'm having. If I were to think about the things that I'm not getting right, I'm probably the hardest person on myself than anybody else. So I was like, all right, because I'm also going through this journey of self-compassion. It would be just great just to share it with everybody so we can just, take what we can take and then see if we can be a bit of loving and a bit of kindness to one another. So that's why I decided, no, let's have a self-compassion session. And yeah, see if we can learn something from each other, and also for me while I present as well. So my background is that I am a life coach. I'm a certified life coach and NLP practitioner. The NLP stands for neuro, which is the mind, and the L is linguistic, the language that we use to speak or communicate, whether it's verbally or non-verbally. And then the programmer, it's how we've programmed our mind in terms of the things that we would understand or how we would communicate to the people around us. So yeah, in short, that's who I am. I'm quite passionate about self-development. So I'm also an advocacy in terms of first loving yourself, so self-love and self-care. So self-compassion is actually part of self-care. That's also how you also show love to yourself. I don't know if maybe from anybody on the floor that maybe might know what self-compassion is, and they would like to share it with us before I break it down in my understanding. Anybody would like to take? I would like us to be interactive, guys. So let's not all be quiet, because sometimes I might think you're with me and I'm speaking alone. So let's make it interactive, There's no wrong or right answer.
Hi, Coach. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
It's Sandy. Now, my understanding of self-compassion would be being able to understand yourself and actually speaking positivity towards yourself. So understanding who you are and understanding that you're not perfect. So be compassionate towards yourself. I don't know how to explain it even further, but yeah, that's how I view it. Being kind to yourself and not being, and with the understanding that sometimes it's not going to be easy, but you need to always acknowledge that you need to be kind to ourselves, especially in our times where there's so many things going on a day-to-day basis. We really need to take heed of that, because there's everything else, there's other factors that then start piling up if we're not kind to self first. And it also projects on others. If you're not kind to ourselves, how are we able to actually project it towards others as well? So yeah, that's just my take. Thanks.
Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer, but you're right. In summary, we could say it's just being kind to yourself, showing yourself kindness. Even going further, saying that, showing yourself the same kindness that you would show to a friend, you know. So self-compassion, it's being supportive and being kind to yourself. So especially in cases where, you know, if you have failed on something or you are stressed about something, so we tend to easily then just go off and, you know, be on like, oh my God, I'm such a failure. Why didn't I not get this? Why didn't I not get this right? You know, why wasn't I able to do that? Maybe I'm just a fool, you know, or maybe I'm a slow learner. So I associate self-compassion with, it's also self-motivation, because when you give yourself kindness, you're also in a way saying that, you know, you're speaking the opposite of saying that I can't do this, you know, I'm a failure. So you would, instead of using the word I'm a failure, you would use something that's more motivating to keep you going. And it also has to do with self-control, you know, because we can spiral into negative thoughts. And when you're not able to then control them, then, you know, then you are able, then you get into this space where you're very hard on yourself and you can't even love yourself. So it's the ability to be compassionate and to also forgive yourself and show yourself love as well. So here I wrote that self-compassion is to remember to go easy on yourself when you're hard and when in life things are difficult or things are bad, you know. Just always remember, you know, be kind to yourself, and it's also just treat yourself with kindness, like we said. Accept that you're human, accept that you will make mistakes, and that, you know, in life we'll get hardship. It doesn't matter, you know, as even it says in the Bible that we will have tribulation at all times, but we will overcome. So when you start understanding that I will at times fail at something, I will face challenges, somebody might come to me and they might be negative, and then when they do that, then I must remember to say, you know what, let me be loving, let me be kind to myself, and then let me remind myself why I need to be kind and loving to myself. So, you know, we can always, yeah, life can get so demanding that we forget to just be a little bit of kindness to ourselves, you know. We then start looking at our flaws, and we start thinking, okay, the other day when I was in the office, or either when I was in school, I was writing exams, I failed. So then you can easily then say, oh my God, but you know what? How come I missed that? Because I mean, that was just a small thing. Why did I miss that? And then you just spiral on, and yeah, and then you start saying all these negative things and forgetting that, you know what, I'm human. Mistakes will happen. So let me go easy on myself and, you know, show myself a bit of kindness and so forth. I've got here, it says, treat yourself as you would treat a good friend. You know, I'm sure all of us have friends, even if it's family, and we are always extending that kindness and loving to them. So it is just something that we must always remember to show ourselves than rather not showing others. Okay. Now it's moving too fast. So one of the three components of self-compassion, you've got mindfulness, you've got self-kindness, and you've got what they call connectedness. So with your mindfulness, this actually involves recognizing when you are stressing or when you are under a lot of pressure without actually being overly judgmental, or just being judgmental on yourself, or also just overrating and condemning yourself. And then with the self-kindness is when you are being supportive and you are understanding towards yourself to say, you know what, I'm going through this hard time. It's only for now. Let me not be harsh on myself. It is what it is, and I'll get through what I need to get through. I just need to change the view of my screen, because then I'm not seeing the other stuff on the other side. Okay. All right. I don't know. Do we have any questions or any comment from what I've just shared now?
Thumbs up, ladies, if you're good. Could you react so that she can move forward?
All right. Silent is not always a concern. So why must you develop self-compassion? You know, as I've said earlier, instead of always judging yourself or criticizing yourself with whatever shortcomings they might be or inadequate that you are facing, when you are confronted by, you know, life's challenges, um, it helps you to improve your mental state as well, because now you move away from being negative, which also then affects your mental health. So when you start doing that, it also reduces your anxiety. It helps you not to be burnout, because then when you start being too hard on yourself, then you overwork yourself. You don't give yourself some break to say, okay, I did the best I can and I'm going to leave it at that. And what it also does, it helps us to also develop a bit of resilience, I mean. And the other thing is that when you are also showing yourself self-compassion, it gives you time to then reflect and do some introspection about, okay, what can I do better? Where is it that I need a bit of kindness than rather me at all times acting as if, you know what, because I did this and I couldn't do it, and now I'm really hard on myself. I'll give a scenario. I'm just that maybe I'm not seeing everybody on the screen, but I assume most of us have been in the work field and are also studying part-time, or unless if some of us are also just student full-time. You know, we go through life, and I think this also starts maybe when we're still young, like, you know, in the back of your mind, where you are always, you finding a way that you can always criticize yourself. And this has been studies have shown that we actually start from a very young age, where we start to be very critical of ourselves, where we are always criticizing. And maybe it might be also because of the surroundings that we have. The people that you have around you, at times they've been very hard on you, and for them, they're probably thinking that, you know, let's push this one, we know that they can do better. And in that process, then we start feeling, okay, but if this one is always saying, no, but why didn't you do this? But yeah, I see you passed, but, you know, you could have done better. So that we start developing this thing of just, you know, taking it easy on ourselves, and we start hammering ourselves very much to say that, but if I do not get 100% or 80%, it means that I'm a failure. So from a young age, then we've been doing a lot of we've been criticizing ourselves, even apart from the people around us. So when we start developing this self-compassion, it also then helps us to move forward, and then it reduces the time where we'll sit by ourselves and dwell on the failures or the things that we've missed out, or, you know, whatever that you couldn't do, or whatever you did that you did not do well. So it helps you then not to go on overboard thinking to say, oh yeah, but, you know, yesterday I wasn't able to do this, today I wasn't able to do this. So for the weekend, if I may share something with you guys, my weekend was supposed to be very quiet. I didn't have plans to go anywhere. So last minute, I was like, okay, let me go to a wedding. I've been in the house, let me get out. I need a bit of, you know, go out, be social, so that I could just get a bit of fresh air and stop being in my feelings, and also just thinking about how the week was so hard. So I went out. So in me going out, I get a late confirmation of people saying that they need services that I offer. I call it touch therapy. People call it massage, but yeah, self-care package where then I do massages for people. So I had a choice. When they called out, I was like, okay, but it's late. How do I confirm? On top of that, if it's many people, how am I going to cover them? I'm already tired. So immediately when I started thinking, oh, but I'm tired, I can't do this, I stopped myself and I was like, but it's an opportunity. Let me look at it as an opportunity where I can also then go market myself. And within my circle, let me try and see if I can find someone that I can take with. so then they can help with the overload of the work for the day. And then just within reaching to 2 people, I then found a person, and that was like, whew, a relief on my side, and I was able to then enjoy my Saturday. And today as well went well, until now I realized that I had another client that I had forgotten about. But instead of stressing, I was like, you know what, whatever is supposed to happen will happen. And because of I was busy the whole day, I did not realize that my laptop has not been charged. And now with load shedding, my load shedding was scheduled at 5. And now instead of going into panic mode, I share with my client to say, oh, you know what, I was supposed to have this at 6, and now it's already 5. So I don't know what I can do. And now changing the time, it's a bit late to do that. And then there was already a solution. She was like, no, it's fine. I'll take you where you were able to get electricity. So with that, what I was able to do for myself, I was able to not then think that, oh my God, the whole thing is going to be a failure. It's not going to work. Oh my God, what was I thinking? Oh, this is a sign that I should have not actually done that. But instead, somebody then offered kindness to me, and it was because I did that first to myself. I was not already dismissing myself to say, oh, but it's not going to work. Why am I even doing this? So, and here I am. I got plan B, and plan B is working fine. And I thought, yeah, everything was just gonna go AWOL. Even when we started, and the camera did not want to work. So instead of me then going on a spiral and thinking all negative thoughts, I became loving, and I became calm, and I said, Shaz, if you're meant to do it, you'll do it. And if it doesn't happen, it's still okay. It does not mean anything bad towards you, and we'll try again the next time. So those kind of self-talk, they help a lot. So because I now am giving myself self-compassion without even being aware that I'm doing that. So it starts becoming a lifestyle where I'm able to then go easy on myself rather than go very hard on myself, and then which will lead me to also just having a mental breakdown. And when I become sad, then I'm also then calling, attracting me having depression and all of that from one thing, because then I will not let go of that negative thing. So the importance of self-compassion. First one, it involves relating to yourself and your life with an open heart and open mind. I hope I'm not too bright with the lights. So what do we mean by saying that you are open-minded, and you've opened your heart, you've opened your mind as well? And you're able to relate you can relate yourself by being open-minded. So for me, that tells us that when we approach life, we must not always have it in like, okay, you have just put on your clap, and life is supposed to be only in this certain way. So you are open to anything that can happen. Whatever you will receive it with an open heart and an open mind. And then that will help you to then take it further to say, okay, if this is the way it is, then how do we then move into the next step? So it helps us with that. So the importance of it, again, it transforms suffering into an opportunity for kindness, and where you're able to connect. Like I said, instead of me now stressing that, oh my God, my laptop is not charged, there's no electricity until 7 o'clock. Then there was an opportunity where I had a client that was there with me, and they offered to take me to where I'll be able to connect. So it helped me again because I showed myself the compassion and I was kind. Then somebody also did that, and then it created an opportunity where it made me not to be stressed, and I was then able to connect with someone because they showed me compassion, whereas I had showed it to myself. The other reason why it's important, it fosters connectedness rather than separation or being self-centered. I will still go back to the example that I gave you of today, that when I was compassionate with myself, the next person then was able to then be show me compassion as well, and then they could sympathize, and then they were able to help me. And I was not on some, oh my God, it's me, this always happens, you know, this is just bad luck. And, you know, then instead of spiraling into that, then somebody then showed me compassion as well, because I showed it to myself. I did not all make it about me. And then the other, it's always available. I think, you know, it's always easy to show people love and kindness and all of that. So already that tells us that if I'm able to do that to others, I'll be able to do it to myself. So it's not something that should be rare, or it's not something that we can't find. You can actually, you have it, it's always there. And it always starts with yourself. And because we grew up maybe not knowing what it is, lucky for us, it's something that you can still learn and you can always be taught about. Hence, I was like, okay, this is a good time, because now it's the end of the year. Most of us had goals written down and saying that by the end of the year, we want to see ourselves having had achieved this and this and that. So now we're moving away from the self-sabotage and then the self-criticism. Then now you're going to learn a skill of saying, you know what, I can give myself a hug to say, but Shaz, you know, you did your best and your best is good enough. And just breathe in and breathe out and inhale, and, you know, all is well. If it was supposed to be different, it would have been different. Before I move on to the next slide, are we all good? Are we still good?
Shaz, I have a question
Yes.
while you're still on spiraling, ne? So if I
Yes.
feel myself spiraling, what do I do to now like ground myself? Because sometimes, you know, you can feel yourself you're going there to spiral. Sometimes it's during the spiral where you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And sometimes it's afterwards when you realize, what did I just do? But like, how do I manage that before, during, and after, like on separate, you know, respectively?
Oh, yes, that's a good question. I usually would say with clients to say that we have what we call an emotional box. That, you know, when you're in the moment and you start realizing, oh my God, I'm going AY, I'm now spiraling out. You then acknowledge that, okay, I'm about to lose my mind. So you then take that emotion and then you acknowledge it and you're like, okay, I see you for what it is and I realize it, but this is not what I want. So there's different ways that people are able to ground themselves. Others ground themselves with music. Others ground themselves with, you know, they would always want to have something that they would physically touch that will then anchor them to say, but come back. And others, it's also a smell. So if you're somebody that loves sound, so immediately when you start realizing that, okay, I'm losing control, then take a breath, then play your favorite song, so to say, so that it calms you down. And if it's not a song, but you have a memory that you know that immediately if I close my eyes and then I think about this time, whether I was a child or whether I was with a friend or wherever you were, but you know that in that moment you were happy, then the moment you close your eyes and you think about that, or sometimes you don't even have to close your eyes, is that you will mentally start thinking about it, and then it will take you back where now you're in a calm state. So you were able to take those emotions and put them in the box for 30 seconds, or if you need a minute for that, then you use that minute. Then immediately once you're done, then you come back to now saying that, okay, now we're not going to lose our cool. We're keeping our cool because now you have grounded yourself either with a memory, either with something you can touch, or either with something that you can smell, or a sound as well. I don't know if that makes sense.
It
Does
does.
that
Thank
answer
you.
you?
Yes, it
Yeah,
does. Thank you.
yeah, we all have, I think we all, by now, I think we all have something that we know that it will calm us down. And if it's also, sound can also mean that you calling a friend or your mother or your sister, your sibling, you know immediately that if you pick up the phone and then I call Uzani is going to calm me down immediately, because I'll hear Uzani's voice and it'll be that calming voice. And I'll be like, oh, Usa, okay, girl, I was about to lose it, but I'm back, thank you. And then you carry on. I hope that also helps us. All
Yes,
right,
it does.
what I want to do, I want us to do sort of like a quick quiz, you know. We can answer privately, or we can open our mics, or maybe not, or maybe just write it down. I just need to connect my charger because I see that it's acting up. So there's statements that we usually use, and I want to find out if we've been practicing self-compassion without being aware, or we have not. Then we can start learning from it to do that. The first statement says, what you answer, it will be a true or it will be a false. Then maybe you can just take down to realize out of the 10 statements, which ones are true, which ones are false for you. The first statement, I'm often too hard on myself. Is it a true? Is it a false? If you answered it, let me see by show of thumbs up, so that I can see that we are all in the same page and I'm not going too fast. Or we can also just answer on the chat. All right, the second statement, I always blame myself when something goes wrong. Is it a true? Is it a false? I'm not deserving of nice things. There's that other statement. Oh, you know what? Nice things I do that. Nice things, you know. I don't deserve nice things. When things don't go as you planned, I often criticize myself. I'm very critical on myself. When things don't go go as planned, I'm often very critical on myself. Is it true? I get upset with myself when things are not perfect. I get upset with myself when things are not perfect. When things get hard in life, I forget to practice self-care and look after myself. When things get hard, I forget to practice self-care and look after myself. Right. When I have a friend in need, I offer excellent advice. However, I never take that advice and apply it to myself in hard times. When I have a friend in need, I offer excellent advice. However, I never take that advice and apply it to myself. There are many things that I don't like about myself. There are many things that I don't like about myself. Right? I often feel that everybody else is doing a better job than me. or they've got a better job than I have in my life. I always feel that everybody else is doing a better job in life than I am. Or I always feel they have a better job than me. When I make mistakes, I find it really hard to get over it. I often go over and over. Like I'll repeat the scenario of the mistake I've made and to be like, how can I change it? I should have done this. I should have not done this. Right. So if out of all the 10 statements, you have 5 truths, then it means that you have not been showing yourself self-compassion. So how many of us have actually been doing self-compassion without not being aware that we are actually being very kind to ourselves? Or how many of us now realize, oh my God, I've really been so hard on myself. I've not been showing myself compassion. And I need to do a lot more of that. You have 3 truths. Okay. While you guys ponder on if you've been kind to yourself or not, I want to just let you guys have a minute of reflection and then, you know, be honest with yourself to say, okay, I've been, all right. I see one says that I'm one of those who doesn't show myself self-compassion. Okay. Yeah, we can always do with a little bit more of compassion. We can always, yeah, show ourselves more compassion. I agree with you. Oh, yes. You know what? You're not alone. That's good, Lillian. You should give yourself like a thumbs up, you know, like an air punch. Because you've been kind to yourself. That's a good thing. And guys, when we do this, it then must teach us that we are not then going to go back and say, oh my God, I've not been kind to myself. Then you start being unkind to yourself because you have not been kind to yourself. This is then to make you aware and then realize, I can actually do better. And I'm glad now that I know that I've not been doing that. It gives me a chance to say, I can actually then change it. And I want to change it and I will change it. So, and it's because when we're not able to show our self-kindness because we do not know it, that we needed to do that. You know, because from a young age, I think what we've been exposed to, it's always, you know, yeah, when I did this, when you don't do this, or you could do better, you know. So we've just learned to become like that, to always be hard on yourself. But which is quite funny, when it gets to other people, we are very, 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 you know, compassionate towards them. Okay, so if sometimes it's because the questions that you ask yourself at that given moment, they may differ. Yeah, that can happen. One question may apply with you being at work, one may apply with you just being a person. So yes, I do agree this way. It can actually differ because of that. Okay, so we've now realized why it's important for us to to be kind to ourselves. And I think with everything else in life, there's always a myth about certain things, So the same thing with self-compassion, there are myths around it. For example, they say self-compassion is just feeling sorry for yourself. But in actual fact, it's not. It's when we acknowledge our bad feelings and failure, we can then move past them. So it's needed. So as others will say, but yeah, only narcissists will want to be talking about, yeah, it's about you. That's why you're saying self, compassion. So it's actually not. Apparently, well, they say on the contrary, studies have actually found out those that have high esteem, they're actually more likely to be narcissist, which is, I don't know, because I guess there's also just a thin line between when they say a person is a narcissistic, which is something, well, yeah, maybe one day we can break it down, because it's believed that a narcissist will always be about themselves. It's me, I. And sometimes it's actually not a bad thing to put yourself first. But when you put yourself first, it should not be at the harm of the next person. I think it becomes bad when we speak about putting yourself first, then it means that you're harming the next person or the people around you. And the other myth is that self-compassion is selfish because, as I've said, it's like you center it around yourself. So it makes you a selfish person, but it's not. It's like before you can help somebody, help yourself first. Because if we are in a plane, the plane is about to crash, and then we've got a mask, and then you could be able to carry me. Why would you then first not give yourself the mask before you give it to me? So it is that thing, first show yourself that self-compassion before you can show it to anybody else. And you may ask, like, but okay, Shazie, but why should we indeed practice this self-compassion? When you show self-compassion, you actually become even happier because, you're not now in your state of negativity. You'll smile more often. You laugh at, when you're able to laugh at yourself. It does not matter. It does not matter even if I come to you and say, oh, but my God, look at you. You're just a failure. You're like, what are you talking about? I mean, I tried, I failed, and I learned what I needed to learn. And now I'm moving on to the next one. So when we practice self-compassion, it leads us to be more grateful, and we become optimistic, and we also start having better relationship with others. It also helps us to be less stressed because now we have stopped thinking that we need to be perfect. Oh my God, now I'm listing everything that I'm not good at. Then you criticizing yourself with every small thing. And because now you're not doing that, you become less stressed. Then you are in a good state mentally, which says that you don't have anxiety, you have less stress as well. So which then also help you, the overall also in terms of your physical wellness, and that will go, your physically, you don't get sick, you're mentally, you're okay as well. And then the reason why we need to practice self-compassion is because it builds more resilience in us, It's like today I'll do something, I'll fail, then I'll quickly bounce back, as they say, you fall, then you get up and you dust yourself and then you try again. And then you start taking, like when you look at things that you failed at, you no longer then look at, oh, I'm such a failure, meaning that I'm never going to accomplish anything. You take that failure and you be like, okay, what was I supposed to do right? It becomes feedback to say, okay, so the next time I need to do this, how can I do it better? So if I failed in saving for the whole year, when I start again next year, what is it that I can change? What have I learned about this year that made me not to be able to reach the goal that I've done? So then you become more resilient. Then you don't easily give up. And then there are ways that we can actually practice self-compassion. One of them, the first one is don't judge yourself. I think in the beginning, this was one of the things I kept on highlighting that, it's quite easy to put yourself in a higher pedestal and then start realizing and be like, oh, but yeah, no, I didn't do that. Yesterday I was wearing this. Oh, yesterday I didn't go to the gym. Then you start judging yourself, say, oh, I'm such a failure. And we should not, don't over-identify with a mistake or a failure. You must never own it. You must never say, I am a failure, I am that. Because the moment you do that, it's like you're owning it. So don't over-identify with a mistake or a failure that you have done. And yes, let us accept that, in life, you win some, you lose some. Sometimes you'll get it right, the other time you won't get it right. So it's okay. There's two sides to a coin. Let us always remember that not everything will go as smooth as we want. And we are all humans, somebody will say, oh my God, why me? And then the next person will say, but if not you, then who? So understand that challenges will happen, but it does not mean that there's something wrong with you, or that when you should be immune from not having mistakes. So because when you are special, you're unique. We are all special in our own way, but then we also go through our own unique challenges also as well. And the way you can also practice it is that be intentional about it. Like every day when you wake up, say to yourself, okay, I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to be kind to myself. If I do this and it doesn't work, I'll try again tomorrow. So you set the intention of being very compassionate to yourself. And then the beauty of self-compassion also starts, it makes you realize who you are. So you start becoming self-aware to say, okay, these are my limitations. This is how I know that when I start going out of control or my thoughts start running wild with me, what would have happened for me to take it there? So you become self-aware. And then the moment you do that, then you are able to realize, okay, when I get to this point, this is how I can show myself compassion. So now it also starts being part of your self-care, because you'll know that if it says during the week, this was supposed to be my goal and I haven't reached it, and I understand why I did not reach it, and that's okay. We're going to pick ourselves up and we're going to try again. And how we practice it again is that we become gentle and kind, and also how we speak to ourselves, and how we act towards ourselves. And we practice gratitude all the time, even for the small thing. I was sharing with a friend, we were talking about being content, that, maybe the reason why most of us feel that we're not content is because you will get a car today and you have not had that car. And then later on, you'd be like, okay, I don't want my small car anymore. I want a big car. So what you have done already is, instead of you being in the moment of celebrating the fact that, I used to walk, but now I have a car that can take me from A to B, and I don't struggle with what I used to struggle with, and celebrating yourself for having accomplished that goal, you now start looking at something bigger. Then it takes away that thing that you've got. So we will always want more and more, which then makes us not to be grateful for the small thing. And one of the things that we can practice it is actually forgiving ourselves. I know that we might not have time, but I wanted to maybe just give you something that you can do, maybe when you by yourself, is that you must practice self-forgiveness. In doing that, you will start recognizing that nobody's perfect and that we all make mistakes. And making mistakes, they help you to grow and, and learn as well. So tonight, if you still have time, or you can also still do it tomorrow, list some of the things that you need to forgive yourself on. And if you feel that when you're doing the exercise, it's taking you into even a more deeper, and it will get you to get into a feeling that you don't want, then you can stop. But list a few things that you think you can forgive yourself, that you may call it maybe minor things. And then forgive yourself and let it go. It can even be, write yourself a letter of forgiveness, to say, okay, I forgive myself for this and this and that and that. And yeah. And once we are able to do that, then we'll be able to go forward. I love this quote. It says that you've been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. So try approving of yourself and see what happens, you know? You never know. If you do that, your life might change in the most dramatic way. Even the relationship that you have, people will start realizing, oh, but you know what? Shaz is not who she used to be. Like there's a change about her. So instead of using the word, oh, I could do more, you know what, I could do better. Let's change it to saying you're doing the best you can and it's enough, you know? Stop with the notion of thinking that, yeah, everybody has to like you. Let it be that I have to like myself before anybody can like me. And always thinking that we can't mess up. We should move away from that notion to say that, you know what, it's okay when I mess up now and then. I can pick myself up and, you know, the failures that I have, they will now teach me a lesson and then I'll do better. They give me feedback. Let go of the notion of thinking that when we say we are imperfect, it means that it's a bad thing. And in actual fact, imperfection, it's actually okay, because if now you're perfect, then it means that you can no longer grow. And when there's no growth, then it means you might as well not be alive anymore. And that your worth is dependent on your success. You know, we've always, I think, you know, I've said in the beginning that maybe because of the way we grow up and what our environment have been, we are always used to the thinking that if because you do not get an 80 or this and that, then it means you're not worthy. So you're worthy, it's already, you know, God tells us that we are worthy, regardless of what we do, whether we fail or whether, you know, we do good. God always, it says already, it comes with you. It's something that you're inherited with. So let us always remember to do that. And I wanted us to do, I think we still have time. I don't know, Chair Wudzi, do we still have time, Wuzani? That we could do the exercise?
I think we should.
Okay. Before we do that, let us just do a few affirmations. I'm a lover of affirmation. I think maybe before we get to the exercise, can we do just a bit of affirmations? And then, yeah, then we'll get to the exercise. You don't need to open our speakers, but I would like it for us to say it to ourselves as well. I forgive myself for all the mistakes I've done. I do not need to change myself to love myself. I have nothing to prove. I'm enough because I am me. I celebrate who I am all the time. I am kind to myself just as I am kind to others. I am kind to myself as I am kind to others. I give myself permission to grow and develop. And yes, those are the little affirmations I thought we would say before. So the exercise that I want us to do, you can write on your phones, write things that you are grateful for. The things that you're grateful for. The things that you are grateful for. Rosanna, I see that you had said that, when you started with your love journey in self-compassion, you thought you were being narcissistic because of the people around you. When people find out that they can't have access to you the way they used to have it, they would always make such comments as, "Oh my God, you've changed. What's wrong with you? Why are you like this? Oh, these days you're so self-centered." And that's because they used to gain something from you. So the moment it stops and it's no longer favorable to them, obviously, yeah, they'll have negative things to say to you. When you are done with writing the things that you are grateful for, let's write 5 things that we love about ourselves. What is it that you love about yourself? What are the 5 things that you love about yourself? The 5 things that you love about yourself. Write something that makes you unique. What is unique? Like, yeah, what is the one thing that makes you unique? What is the one thing, or what is something that makes you unique? And how can I practice self-care? How can I practice self-care? The negative thoughts that I'm letting go. The negative thoughts that I'm letting go. the negative thoughts that I'm letting go of. If you find that you can't write everything down and finish at once, you can either leave a space or just write all the questions that I've asked, then you can answer it in your spare time. I don't want to keep you guys more than the hour. But I think, yeah, from being able to answer the 5 questions, or writing down things that you are grateful for, the 5 things that you love about yourself, and something that makes you unique, and then writing down how you can practice self-care, and, the negative thoughts that you are letting go of. Because when we are grateful, we are able to celebrate ourselves with the little things that we are grateful for. When we are aware of the things that we love about ourselves, that says I'm self-aware and I accept who I am. And when there's one thing that you can say, okay, this makes me unique, that is to say that is my sort of like, it's my superpower. Nobody can take it away from me, It can all come everybody can come, say, oh my God, I've got beautiful eyes, or, I've got big ears, I love my nose. And you can always then to say, but this is who I am, I'm unique with this. So I cannot even get to a point where you're going to start comparing yourself to someone else. And when you can be able to detail how you would do self-care, you'll start realizing that now you are allowing yourself to do what they call is self-love, because from your self-love, then you'll know what are the things that you need to do for self-care. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, then you would have them down to say, okay, my self-care, when it comes to my mental health, this is what I'll do. When it comes to my physical, this is what I'll do. When it comes to my emotions, this is what I'm going to do. When it comes to my physical, this is what I'll be able to do. And yeah, the negative thoughts, I think, if we think back of also the statements that we've said, those 10 statements, I mean, those are some thoughts that we have. Some thoughts were planted in our minds because of the things that people would say to us, and then it started becoming a norm. Some thoughts, we gather them as we grow. Those are the things that we tell ourselves when we do something and then we fail, or when you do something, or when you try something, then those are the things that you start picking along the way, and then they start becoming a part of you. Are we good? All right. Is everyone still on board? I see Oz Joy is good. Everybody else? Maybe by just a show. Okay, thank you. All right. No, thank you. I also want to share, there's a statement or a statement of power. It's called the power of yet, the power of yet, it helps us to believe that we can achieve anything and we are capable of anything. And, when you start doing that, you develop this great mindset, and that your abilities of learning a new skill and learning a new thing, it's very broad, and you know, you're persistent with always wanting to learn and, you know, improve on your self-growth and on your mindset as well. So when your mindset has grown, it opens a lot of opportunities for you, you know, new opportunities, you know, even the ones that you thought they will not be you will not be able to attain them. You are able to do that. So the power of yet, when you can use it in a statement, for example, you'll say, I don't understand this yet. So it does not mean because I don't understand it yet, does not mean that I will not be able to understand it. I am not good at this yet. So that still gives you room to still be good at that. It does not work yet. I've tried everything. It's not working yet, but I'll get something that will make it work. It doesn't make sense yet, but it will make sense, you know? I don't get it yet, but I will eventually get it. So I hope, yeah, when we leave here, that's something that we'll take with, you know, use the power of yet. Instead of saying, I don't know this, then just add yet so that it still says it can change. There's room, there's new possibilities. Whatever you thought you can attain, you're able to attain it. Oh yes, and I think I've already said that, you know, letter of forgiveness to yourself. But when you start writing it and you start feeling, well, okay, now it's getting deep, my emotions are a roller coaster, I'll be crying my eyeballs out, then, you know, you take it back one notch and then you write the things that you're able to take, you know. Rome was not built in a day. Everything else is a process. So when we do write that letter of forgiveness, let me give you a few pointers where you can start with, you know, so that it does not become a ball of emotions. So the first one, you can start by saying, today I forgive myself for, right? So that will be the first heading on your letter of forgiveness. And in order to move on, I acknowledge that I was wrong in how then you write the statement that you think you acknowledge what you've done wrong. And then the third one, you will say that I deserve forgiveness because. Then you list or you write the things that you believe that say that you deserve forgiveness. And we all deserve forgiveness, even if it's forgiveness from ourselves. And the last point on that letter would read as a heading to say, next time I'm faced with a similar decision, this is what I will do. Like I said, with failure, you get feedback. It tells you that when you are to do something the next time. So if I was very harsh with myself because I do not go on a treadmill or something, or I do not exercise. So the next time, then now you are faced with going to gym and you don't want to go to gym. What would you do? What would be the decision that you will take for that? So it starts by saying, today I forgive myself for. And in order to move on, I acknowledge that I was wrong in how then you mention the things that you did or the things that you said. And I deserve forgiveness because next time I'm faced with a similar decision, I will. Today I forgive myself for. In order to move on, I acknowledge that I was wrong in how I deserve forgiveness because next time I'm faced with a similar situation or similar decision, I will.